Alright guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today I want to answer the age-old question of what makes a good video game. The gameplay in the background was provided by No Copyright Gameplay, so if you want gameplay footage to use in your videos for whatever reason, like you have a crappy computer like me, then you can check out No Copyright Gameplay on YouTube. Alright, now this question has been asked and answered to death, and for the most part people tend to say the typical stuff such as, oh, a good game, well, that means gameplay, right? Oh, another person might be immersion, somebody else might state, oh, graphics and audio and stuff like that. And on a pretty high level, that's how they answer the question. And ultimately, over the years, I've been analyzing games for over 10 years, right? So over the years I've noticed a pattern that's within the games that succeed and the games that tend to fail. Obviously there is no foolproof method that guarantees a game's success, but I've just noticed this one little thing, and that thing I like to call soul, right? Now I know that's a very weird word, like soul, what does that even mean? But what I've come to notice is that it really speaks to the passion. I'm referring to the soul of a game, which is basically the passion that was put into it, the passion that the developers have. Oftentimes, a lot of games you can feel when they're just like cropping things off a checklist. Like you can see, okay, it's a first-person shooter. Okay, it needs guns. It needs sprint, it needs aim down sight, it needs at least 10 levels, there needs to be a fire level, there needs to be aliens or zombies or some crap like that. You can feel when it's just, okay, we're making a business product here, right? The funny thing with that is that games, it's an interesting thing, right? Oh, right. What I mean by that, games fall under art to a degree, but then it's also business, right? And I think when it leans more to the business side, it is often when you end up with a bad experience for the players. When a developer is passionate, they often work on elements that no publisher in their right mind would greenlight. Like, for example, if you look at, say, for example, some of the greatest games, such as like the first Halo, there are things in that game that they serve no real purpose in terms of like by the book game design, right? So for example, by that, what do I mean? In the first Halo, you have stuff such as the amount of particle effects that are created. So that game was like you could literally paint the walls by beating the crap out of an enemy, right? I mean, that wasn't necessary. Like, I remember playing that game and like I was firing the chain gun on the back of the Warthog, which is the military jeep that you drive around, for anybody that doesn't know Halo. And I remember looking how like blah, 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 blah. I remember how amazing it was to notice the amount of particle effects, like the amount of spent shells just spewing out the side of the gun, and I was like, huh, that was completely unnecessary. And I remember like I would literally just like sit on the gun and just fire for like 15 seconds and then jump off quickly and look at all the spent shells dancing around, or park near to a wall and just fire repeatedly, and just so I could look at how realistic they would bounce or some crap. And that was unnecessary, right? And it's subtle details. Look at the first Fear. The first Fear, like they spent a lot of time on like this immersive tone, this like the dust effects were amazing, the particle effects, the lighting. They spent a lot of time on stuff that if they were told, hey, just make a game, they wouldn't need to do any of that, right? I remember the first Dead Space, or was it Dead Space 2? I'm not sure, but I remember there was a scare in that game that they wanted a tentacle to come out of the dark and grab Isaac and pull him, right? And it took them forever to get it working, but because of the passion that they had and the soul that they had, they wanted this game to be amazing. They wanted this scene to like set the tone for the game. They fought their asses off to get that working. The first Gears of War, believe it or not, that chainsaw that is iconic to the Gears of War series, they literally had to fight with Microsoft to get that thing out of there because business reasons, right? Oh, they weren't sure if it would work well with the user base or if people would like that stuff. And this is why oftentimes you can take a game, right, and you can put it side by side. Say, for example, look at a game like Haze, right, which was a game from the inception designed to be the Halo killer, right? But the problem with that is that they went in wrong in the first place. You went in with the idea of being a Halo killer, which means you're automatically going to be designing your game, taking another game's mechanics in mind. You're like, oh, well, we need to have this, we need to do this, it has to be like this. That's ridiculous. Now, am I saying that there aren't foundations to follow that makes a good game? There are, but in a lot of cases, some of the games that we love the most actually did something that was not standard by the industry. For example, Call of Duty Modern Warfare introduced kill streaks. Am I saying it's the first game to have kill streaks? Well, not that I know of, right? But it stood out. Halo, they did this weird ass control that I'm pretty sure they had a lot of arguments about when they just switched to the double thumbstick, because a lot of you might think, oh, playing with two thumbsticks, that's the normal way to play games now on a console, but that's not the case. Like, have you seen the Nintendo 64 controller? Games used to control like shit on consoles, but obviously the guys at Bungie, they knew that, okay, this might be weird at first, but we know it will work, and we're passionate about this thing. We will do what is necessary to make it work. We will test it. We will prove it, right? And I feel oftentimes you can feel when a developer loves their product, and you can feel that soul within the product, which is why you will have games with bad graphics that are amazing, such as RuneScape or Minecraft, right? No one is going to give Minecraft a trophy for best graphics. I mean, you may say it looks good, it's stylized, right? But it's not gonna win an award for best looking game. But it's freaking amazing because there are subtle things in the game that are amazing, and they just lead to the overall lifetime of the game. And a lot of times, I don't think developers think long term properly. They think long term in the sense that, okay, we're gonna put a lot of content for the player to get. Content, raw, unlockable content is a very false way to prolong a game's lifetime. Like, sure, the hardcore people might stick around to get your shit, but the average person is gonna be like, okay, this gun is blue and the next one is red. I already have the blue one. Okay, I'll try to see what the red one does. Okay, oh, it does nothing, it's just red. Okay, next. That's what a lot of players do. They don't have the time to sit there and unlock a bunch of unnecessary stuff, right? So I think often when the passion fades, you feel it, and this is why movie games tend to fall flat on their faces, right? Because movie games is like a list. It's like, hey guy, I need to make a third person game. Okay, the camera needs to be behind the guy, he needs to be able to run, jump, shoot, he can drive cars, need a open world level, oh, I need some bosses and some events. So the developer is literally like, okay, running, jumping, okay, he can control, fine, let's give him some guns, yeah, okay, fine, ship, and people are like, okay, this is average, I mean, it's possibly, it doesn't suck, but next, right? But if it was a game that they were passionate about, maybe they would spend more time on each individual mechanic to add subtle things that would make the game even more amazing. Things that, believe it or not, a lot of players may not even notice. Like if you look at Grand Theft Auto 4, right? They had the new, what was it, like Euphoria or some crap like that? Physics engine to drive all the animations and stuff like that. They didn't really need that, right? But they knew the experience they were going for, and they knew the game would feel damn amazing by using that system. But in all honesty, if it was just a movie time game, no developer in their right mind would sit their asses down and try to make such a complex system work. And this is why I feel like in order to see a real strong game, you need to be able to feel the soul, the passion coming from the developers. And I know that's a very weird thing to say in terms of what makes a good game. Obviously the developer still needs to be competent, but I believe that competency without soul will still give you crap. I mean, you might get lucky, but I feel like competency and soul give you an amazing title. And I mean, even though competency and soul can oftentimes players will be like, okay, this game is a bit rough around the edges, but we'll give it a chance because I like that the developer is trying. I like the passion that I'm seeing here. That also happens. But once there's no soul, you often end up with games like, say, Battlefront. No, I'm not saying the developers of Battlefront didn't care and weren't passionate, but maybe they had an overlooking entity monitoring their moves, and maybe that entity was more geared towards business than art, and maybe that's why that game felt so soulless. You know, well, that's just my take, right? This is just something I've noticed that I don't think I've ever heard anybody point to the passion of developers in making a good game. So I kind of want to drop that out there. So I hope you appreciated that 10-minute rambling. If you do like it, then feel free to drop a subscribe, hit the bell. I'm trying to upload content as often as possible, at least once a week. And I appreciate the people so far that have decided to spend their time and watch this. It actually does mean a lot, and I'm not just saying that because it's a scripted thing that needs to be said. If you took time out of your day to listen to me ramble, I truly appreciate it. So I will see you in the next one.